Hey, it's Carly Burr and welcome to my channel where we encourage spending less time on your phone and more time creating moments that matter. Have you ever done something or not done something or said something or not said something and had a hard time forgiving yourself for that thing that you did or didn't do or said or didn't say? Have you ever experienced that before? There's a specific instance that comes to my mind that happened almost a year ago that still haunts me to this day. I'm a very observant person. I notice people around me, I notice what's going on around me, and I often can sense how people are feeling or the energy that they're giving off when I'm around people. I see this as kind of a gift/curse. Curse because I can often sense what people seem to be feeling, and that often makes me feel the urge to say something to help them feel seen, or to try to do something to make them feel better. And I don't always act on that, which is why I call it a curse. The specific instance that happened almost exactly a year ago that I still have a hard time with, we were in a situation, we were at a restaurant, and the person that was taking your reservation and that would go seat you, I could tell and feel that she felt about this big. And I could see the people around us that were making her feel about this big for obvious reasons. And it made me feel really sick. I instantly got this feeling to say something to her to help her feel seen for who she was, not for the choices that she decided to make that are her physical appearance. And I ignored that. I went through the whole entire night with this urge to say something to this woman. I watched her walk around the restaurant for the 2 hours that we were there, and I didn't say anything. I didn't act on that feeling to say something to her when she clearly was having what was more than just a bad day based off of how I saw people treating her while I was there. It's absolutely pathetic that I didn't act on that feeling, because I had many opportunities all night long to say something to her, but because it was a little bit uncomfortable for me with the people that we were with, I chose not to say anything. And I have a hard time forgiving myself for not saying anything that night to this day. So I wanted to know if you struggle to forgive yourself at times also, or if you find it easier to forgive others rather than forgiving yourself. Or maybe vice versa. Maybe it's easier for you to forgive yourself rather than forgive others. Leave a comment below letting me know which forgiveness you struggle most with, or if it's maybe both. I think it varies from circumstance to circumstance. However, forgiveness, I believe, is key in order for us to continue moving forward and upward in life. I think that in order for us to continue progressing and growing, forgiveness is necessary. Something that's helped me in my specific situation where I'm having a hard time forgiving myself for this thing that almost happened a year ago, because I was perfectly capable and able to act in the situation I didn't. So what is helping me to forgive myself is looking at it as a learning experience, as an experience that I had that I don't want to repeat. What not to do next time I'm in that situation. So I can learn from this one being like, okay, I don't ever want to feel this way again when I have this opportunity to help someone feel seen, or whatever the situation is. I don't want to miss another opportunity, and I won't. So I use this as a learning experience of what not to do, so that next time I know I want to avoid this feeling from happening again, so I will act regardless of how uncomfortable it makes me feel. So I'm trying to see this as a learning experience of what not to repeat. If there's something that you're struggling to forgive yourself for, or to forgive someone else for, I hope that you're able to acknowledge it and take the necessary steps for you in order to move towards forgiving yourself or forgiving that person for whatever it is that might have happened or might not have happened. We are not perfect. We are human. We're just trying our very best to do and to be a little better each and every day. I encourage you to join me in my efforts to allow grace into my life, to forgive myself, or to forgive someone else that maybe you are having a hard time forgiving, so that we can let go of any weight we might be carrying around due to our lack of forgiving. So in my efforts to learn how to better forgive myself, I reached out to you, like I tend to do, to see what you guys do if you struggle like I do to forgive myself more than I struggle to forgive others, and to ask you what you would say to someone who is struggling to forgive. So here's what you had to say. The first I wanted to share was from Aldana, and she says she has at times when we're focused on pleasing other people and sometimes forgot to pay attention to her own needs and taking care of herself. And in that case, she says she needs to forgive herself for forgetting her own needs and try to focus on things that she likes to do. She also says, I like to help others if it is within my reach, and I'm reminding myself I can't always have control over everything in my life or how others would do or what others would do or react. So I love what she says about reminding herself that she can't always have control. And that's a reminder that I have to constantly remind myself of. But then I struggle like with the situation that I was in, because I did have control in that situation and I didn't take control. So that's why I'm having such a hard time forgiving myself. But anyways, next advice comes from Cheyenne, and she says, I would tell someone that's struggling to forgive not for them, but yourself. It will feel 10 times better if you do. Gabriella says, I'm in my 20s and I'm still learning to forgive myself, to have patience with myself. There's a quote that says, I did then what I knew then, and when I knew better, I did better. That's a mantra for me at this point, is what she said. She says, still, if you're an overthinker like me, the task of forgiving yourself or others becomes harder. I always try to remember that people's actions are not intentional most of the time. They're just a result of their frustrations and inner battles. She then says, if someone out there is struggling to forgive, I would tell that person a couple of things. First, remember what I just said. Then try to find your inner peace and you'll realize that everything will hurt less. Lastly, find a good therapist to talk to. I think this is one of the greatest gifts we can treat ourselves with. Investing in our mental health and finding out why we understand some structures the way we do. Seeking help has definitely helped me improve in the aspect of forgiving. Thanks, Gabriella, for sharing all of that. There's so many valuable things in what you had just said, and I especially love that mantra. I've never heard that before, where you said, I did then what I knew then, and when I knew better, I did better. That's very inspiring to me. I had a couple more that I wanted to share because there's so many good things to learn from you guys, and I want to share absolutely everything, but unfortunately we'd be here for a really long time. So there's a few more that I wanted to share in this video. Takia says, if I were to give advice to someone struggling with forgiveness, I would tell them to work through it in the best way they find comfortable. Also, I would tell them not to be hard on themselves and to allow room for growth, not fear. Lastly, Alyssa says, I would tell someone that when they don't forgive themselves, it will weigh on them. I feel like it hinders growth. You definitely take lessons from that situation, but don't let it weigh on yourself. I personally pray to God for forgiveness and pray for peace. I agree very strongly with that, Alyssa. Praying to God for peace and forgiveness is something that definitely brings comfort to me in my life. So I want to say thank you to those of you who converse with me around this topic of forgiveness. I really value the conversations that we're able to have, and I really appreciate you for letting me share what you had to say to me here on my channel so that we can hopefully touch those people that needed to hear exactly what you had to say. And may we all make an effort to forgive ourselves more quickly and more wholly moving forward. Now I would love to hear from you. Do you struggle to forgive yourself? And what would you tell someone who is struggling to forgive? Leave the answer to one of or to both of those questions down in the comments below, and let's start a conversation down there. I also want to extend an invitation to you to join the conversation off of YouTube. I talk to these people that I share what they said in the video. We're talking off of YouTube and having more in-depth conversations about these topics that matter and make a difference in our lives. And I'd love to have these conversations more in depth with you also. So if you're interested in joining the conversation and maybe having what you and I talk about said in these videos so that you can help another person who's watching, then be sure to click the link. I'll put it in the description. You can join my Inspiredy letter where we do have these conversations again off of my channel. In the meantime, thank you so much for being here. I hope that you found this video helpful or insightful, or I hope that you got from it exactly what you needed to hear at this point in time when it comes to forgiveness. And I hope that you choose to spend less time on your phone and more time creating moments that matter. I'll catch you next time.